Most parents have no idea that the fastest, most reliable way to relieve their baby's constipation isn't sitting in a pharmacy. It's not a syrup, it's not a suppository, and it's not something a pediatrician handed them in a rushed 10-minute appointment. The real solutions have been sitting in kitchens for generations, used by mothers and grandmothers long before modern medicine ever had a name for what was happening inside a little one's gut. Today we're breaking down 8 of those foods, simple, gentle, and remarkably effective when used the right way. Stay with us, because number 4 on this list is something almost every parent already has in their kitchen. And it works so consistently that it's been the first thing grandmothers reached for across multiple cultures for over 100 years. And number 1, the final food, triggers a natural response in the baby's digestive system within hours. And it's backed by pediatric research that's been replicated across multiple studies. 8 foods, generations of observation. Let's get into it. Number 8. Cooked pears, the gentle starter that almost never fails. If there's one food pediatric nutritionists and old-school grandmothers agree on for a constipated baby, it's pears. And the reason has less to do with tradition than with what's actually happening at a biochemical level when a baby's digestive system gets sluggish. Pears contain a specific type of natural sugar called sorbitol. Sorbitol doesn't get fully absorbed in the small intestine the way other sugars do. Instead, it pulls water into the colon and gently softens the stool, which makes it easier for the baby to pass without straining. This mechanism is so reliable that sorbitol is actually the active ingredient in many over-the-counter stool softeners designed for children. Pears also deliver pectin, a soluble fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and adds gentle bulk to the stool. The combination of sorbitol pulling water in and pectin feeding the microbiome creates exactly the conditions a backed-up little gut needs to get moving again. Now, here's the part most parents miss. Cooking the pear changes everything. Raw pear can be hard for a young digestive system to break down. Gently steaming or simmering the pear softens the fiber, makes the sugars more bioavailable, and turns it into something a 6-month-old baby's gut can process with almost no effort. Puree it smooth for babies just starting solids, or leave it slightly chunky for toddlers who are chewing confidently. Serve it on its own, or swirl it into plain whole milk yogurt for an extra layer of gut support. The combination of soluble fiber and live probiotic cultures is something traditional weaning practices in parts of Europe have used for generations, long before the word microbiome entered the mainstream conversation. Cooked pear isn't a miracle. It's just a food that does exactly what a constipated baby's body is asking for. Number 7. Prunes. The food with a reputation for a reason. Prunes have been the go-to grandmother's remedy for constipation for so long that the word itself has almost become shorthand for digestive relief. And unlike most old-school remedies, the science on prunes is not only solid, it's overwhelming. A single serving of prunes delivers a combination of 3 different fiber types, sorbitol, and polyphenol compounds that work on constipation from multiple angles at once. The fiber adds bulk. The sorbitol draws water into the colon the same way pears do, but in higher concentration. And the polyphenols feed beneficial gut bacteria that help regulate bowel motility. Clinical research has consistently found prunes to be as effective as common over-the-counter stool softeners for relieving mild to moderate constipation, with none of the side effects. For babies and toddlers, this makes prunes one of the safest and most reliable natural interventions available. The way you serve them matters. For babies 6 months and older, stewed prunes or a small amount of pure prune puree is ideal. You can also make prune juice at home by soaking a few pitted prunes in warm water overnight, then pressing the liquid through a fine sieve. A few teaspoons of this liquid, added to breast milk, formula, or water, can work gently within a few hours for most babies. For toddlers, a couple of whole pitted prunes served as a snack or mixed into oatmeal usually does the job without any extra effort. One important note: prunes are powerful, which means a little goes a long way. Start with a small amount, usually a teaspoon or two of puree for babies, or 1 to 2 whole prunes for toddlers, and increase slowly only if needed. Giving too much too fast can swing things in the opposite direction. This isn't a trendy superfood. It's a food that's been quietly solving this exact problem in nurseries around the world for generations, and it still works every time. Number 6. Oats, the gentle fiber foundation. Most parents think of oats as a breakfast food, something warm and comforting on a cold morning. But for a constipated baby, oats are one of the most underrated tools in the entire kitchen. Whole oats contain a specific soluble fiber called beta-glucan, the same fiber found in barley that has been studied for its effects on everything from cholesterol to blood sugar to gut health. In a baby's digestive tract, beta-glucan forms a soft, gel-like consistency that helps soften stool and move things through the intestines gently, without the harsh urgency of a laxative. Oats also contain a second type of fiber that feeds the beneficial bacteria in the gut. These bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids as they digest the fiber, and those fatty acids play a direct role in keeping the intestinal lining healthy and regulating how quickly food moves through the system. A baby with a healthy, well-fed microbiome is a baby whose digestion tends to run more smoothly across the board. The preparation matters here. For babies starting solids, plain whole grain oat cereal cooked with water, breast milk, or formula is ideal. Skip the infant cereals loaded with added sugars or flavorings, and don't use instant oats, which have been processed in ways that strip out some of the fiber benefits. Old-fashioned rolled oats, cooked thoroughly and blended smooth for younger babies, or served soft for toddlers, deliver the full nutritional profile. Now here's where something shifts. Top the oats with a small amount of mashed ripe banana, a teaspoon of cooked pear puree, or a swirl of unsweetened applesauce, and you're layering in additional soluble fiber and sorbitol. The combination addresses constipation from multiple directions at once, the way a well-designed traditional meal always did. Add a small drizzle of flaxseed oil or a teaspoon of ground flax mixed in, and you're adding omega-3 fats that support gut lining health along with additional fiber. This isn't a breakfast anymore. It's a digestive support system dressed up as a warm morning meal. Number 5. Ripe pears and kiwi combination. The overlooked pairing that works faster than either one alone. Most parents know pears help. Fewer know about kiwi, and almost none know what happens when you combine the two. Kiwi is one of the most underappreciated digestive foods available anywhere in the world. It contains an enzyme called actinidin that helps break down protein and supports overall digestive function. It's also loaded with vitamin C, antioxidants, and a specific type of soluble fiber that holds water remarkably well and adds bulk in exactly the way a constipated gut needs. Multiple studies on older children and adults have shown that eating kiwi daily can significantly improve stool frequency and consistency in cases of chronic constipation. The effect is gentle, reliable, and builds over just a few days of consistent eating. Pediatric nutritionists in New Zealand, where kiwi has been part of the traditional diet for over a century, have used this fruit as a first-line natural intervention for childhood constipation for generations. Now pair kiwi with pear, and the combination becomes something neither does quite as effectively alone. Pears bring sorbitol and pectin, kiwis bring actinidin and soluble fiber. Together, you're hitting multiple mechanisms of digestive support at the same time, softening the stool, adding gentle bulk, feeding the microbiome, and supporting enzymatic breakdown all in one bowl. For babies 6 months and older who have been introduced to both fruits individually without any reaction, mash a small amount of ripe kiwi together with steamed pear for a smooth, gentle puree. For toddlers, dice both fruits small and serve them together as a snack. The flavors are naturally sweet and complementary, and most kids actually like the combination. One note: kiwi is a common allergen in some families, so introduce it on its own first and watch for any reaction before pairing it with other foods. And always remove the fuzzy skin for younger children, since it can be a texture issue and a choking concern. And if you're finding this helpful, take a second to hit like and subscribe. We put out food-first, gentle parenting solutions every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Number 4. Warm water with a touch of freshly squeezed orange. The simple drink grandmothers have used for 100 years. This one might seem almost too simple to include on a list like this. And yet, across multiple cultures and multiple generations, it keeps showing up as one of the first things experienced mothers and grandmothers reach for when a baby or toddler is backed up. Here's why it works. Dehydration is one of the most common and most overlooked causes of constipation in young children. When the body is even slightly underhydrated, the colon pulls extra water out of the stool, leaving it hard, compact, and difficult to pass. Simply restoring adequate hydration often resolves mild constipation within hours, with no other intervention needed. Warm water specifically seems to work better than cold water for this purpose. Warm fluid relaxes the muscles of the digestive tract and can stimulate a gentle natural urge to go. It's the same reason adults often notice a morning bowel movement shortly after a warm cup of coffee or tea. The mechanism is essentially the same. Adding a small squeeze of fresh orange juice, about a teaspoon for toddlers, or a few drops stirred into an ounce of warm water for babies over 6 months introduces 2 additional active elements. First, vitamin C draws water into the colon in a similar way to sorbitol, softening the stool. Second, orange juice contains natural sugars that feed beneficial gut bacteria and support normal digestive motility. This combination, warm water with a touch of fresh citrus, has been used in traditional households across parts of the Mediterranean, South America, and South Asia for generations as a first-line remedy for a backed-up child. It doesn't require any special preparation, any unusual ingredients, or any waiting for something to cook. Most parents can make it in under 2 minutes with things already in the kitchen. For very young babies under 6 months, plain warm water in small amounts can be offered after checking with your pediatrician, since water intake at that age needs to be balanced carefully with breast milk or formula. For babies over 6 months and toddlers, a small cup of warm water with a splash of fresh orange offered first thing in the morning or between meals can be enough to get a stalled system moving again. Simple isn't the same as ineffective. Sometimes the oldest, most basic remedies work because they address the underlying problems so directly. Number 3, avocado, the healthy fat that quietly keeps things moving. Avocado is one of the most recommended first foods for babies starting solids, and the reason has as much to do with digestion as it does with nutrition. Because alongside its well-known supply of healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals, avocado plays a subtle but important role in keeping a baby's bowels moving regularly. A single small avocado contains about 7 grams of fiber, which is remarkable for a food that's this soft and this easy for a baby to eat. Most of that fiber is soluble, the type that draws water into the stool and keeps things soft and easy to pass. The healthy monounsaturated fats in avocado also help lubricate the intestinal tract and support the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins from other foods in the meal. Here's what makes this food particularly effective for constipated babies. Many of the most common first foods, rice cereal, bananas, apples, can actually be binding for some children, especially when eaten consistently. Avocado provides a counterweight. It delivers fiber and healthy fat without any of the binding effect that sometimes comes from starchier introductory foods. Traditional weaning practices across parts of Central and South America have used avocado as a primary first food for centuries, mashed smooth for younger babies and served in chunks for older ones. The results speak for themselves. Babies in these cultures tend to have fewer digestive issues during the transition to solids than babies in regions that rely more heavily on rice cereals and grain-based first foods. Preparation couldn't be simpler. Choose a ripe avocado that gives slightly when pressed. Mash half of it smooth with a fork for babies just starting solids, or dice it into small pieces for toddlers. Serve it plain, mix it with breast milk or formula for a creamier texture, or combine it with other fruits like banana or pear to layer in additional digestive support. Most parents miss this. Avocado isn't just a nutritious first food. It's one of the quietest, most consistent constipation preventive foods a parent can put on a baby's plate. Offered regularly, it helps keep things moving before constipation ever becomes a problem in the first place. Number 2, chia seed pudding made with breast milk or whole milk. The ancient seed that's almost purpose-built for a young digestive system. Chia seeds are having a moment in the wellness world. But the truth is, they've been a food staple across parts of Central America for thousands of years. And for a constipated baby or toddler, they're one of the most effective, most gentle, and most nutrient-dense options available anywhere. Here's what makes chia remarkable. When chia seeds are soaked in liquid, they absorb up to 10 times their weight in water and form a soft, gel-like consistency. Inside a baby's digestive tract, that gel does something extraordinary. It holds water in the intestines, softens the stool gently, and adds bulk without any harshness. The effect is so consistent that chia pudding has become a regular recommendation from pediatric nutritionists for children dealing with chronic constipation. On top of that, chia seeds deliver a complete protein profile, omega-3 fatty acids in higher concentrations than almost any other plant source, calcium, magnesium, iron, and a long list of micronutrients that support a growing baby's overall development. Very few foods do this much for a young child all at once. The preparation is almost absurdly simple. For toddlers, mix 1 tablespoon of chia seeds into about 1/3 cup of whole milk, breast milk, or formula. Stir well. Let it sit in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours or overnight, and the mixture will thicken into a soft pudding consistency. You can blend it smooth for younger babies or leave it slightly textured for older ones who can handle a bit more chew. Sweeten lightly with a teaspoon of mashed banana, a small amount of pure maple syrup for toddlers over 1, or a swirl of pear puree. Top with soft fruit or leave it plain. The combination of fiber, gel-forming action, and gentle hydration hits constipation from multiple angles at once. And here's the part that stops most parents in their tracks. Unlike many fiber supplements or stool softeners, chia seeds don't just relieve an immediate problem. Used regularly, they help establish a baseline of healthy, regular digestion. The microbiome responds to the consistent fiber input, bowel motility normalizes, and the constipation that used to be a recurring issue often stops showing up in the first place. This isn't a trend. It's a food that ancient communities figured out the value of long before anyone had a word for what was happening inside the gut. Number 1, kefir, the probiotic drink that triggers natural relief within hours. And here's the one that changes how you read everything else on this list. Kefir is a fermented dairy drink that's been produced in households across the Caucasus Mountains for over 2,000 years. The word itself comes from a Turkish root meaning feeling good, and for generations it was made at home in every kitchen in the region, passed from mother to daughter as a living culture that literally continued working inside the family's digestive system across lifetimes. What makes kefir different from yogurt and different from almost every other probiotic food available is the sheer diversity and strength of the living cultures it contains. A single cup of well-made kefir can deliver dozens of different strains of beneficial bacteria and yeast in concentrations that vastly outnumber what you'll find in conventional yogurt. These cultures colonize the digestive tract, crowd out harmful bacteria, train the immune system, and directly influence how efficiently the bowels move. For a constipated baby or toddler, kefir works on multiple levels at once. First, the probiotic cultures immediately begin rebalancing the gut microbiome, which is one of the most common underlying causes of chronic constipation in young children. Second, the fermentation process produces small amounts of short-chain fatty acids that directly stimulate the intestinal lining and promote normal bowel motility. Third, kefir contains natural enzymes that help break down lactose and protein, making the drink easier to digest even for children who have mild sensitivities to regular milk. Pediatric research on fermented dairy and children's digestive health has consistently shown that regular consumption of kefir or kefir-like fermented drinks reduces the incidence of constipation, improves stool consistency, and supports overall gut function. The effect often shows up within hours of the first serving and strengthens with regular daily use. For babies under 1, kefir is best introduced after discussion with a pediatrician since dairy timing varies by family history. For toddlers over 1, a small amount of plain, unsweetened kefir, about 2 to 4 ounces per day, can be offered on its own, mixed with fresh fruit as a smoothie, or stirred into oatmeal. Choose whole milk kefir rather than low-fat, and avoid flavored or sweetened versions, which often contain added sugars that work against the probiotic benefits. The best kefir you can buy is plain, unsweetened, and sold in the refrigerated section. The best kefir of all is the one you make at home from live kefir grains, which are surprisingly easy to maintain and produce a fresh batch of probiotic-rich drink every 24 to 48 hours. Making kefir at home is exactly the kind of household practice that mothers and grandmothers in parts of Eastern Europe and the Caucasus kept alive for thousands of years, because they could see, generation after generation, what it did for the health of their children. 8 foods, all of them pointing back to the same truth. Baby constipation almost never needs a pharmacy. It needs a kitchen, the right ingredients, and a parent who knows what to reach for when things get backed up. The parents who handle this well aren't doing anything extraordinary. They're paying attention to what their child's body is asking for, offering the foods that generations of families have used for exactly this situation, and trusting that a gentle, food-first approach works more often than not. Quality matters more than most people realize. A ripe organic pear does something a grocery store green one cannot. Plain unsweetened kefir is a completely different product from the sugary flavored version sitting on most supermarket shelves. The right version of these foods, in the right amount, at the right age, is what makes this approach work. If your little one is dealing with constipation right now, pick one or two of these foods from the list and offer them this week. Drop a comment below and let me know which one you're starting with. I genuinely love hearing which solutions parents find most helpful. One last note: if your baby's constipation lasts more than a few days, if there's blood in the stool, if your child is in significant pain, or if anything else feels off, always check with your pediatrician. Food first is powerful, but nothing replaces a real evaluation when something feels wrong. If you got something out of this video, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what we put out next. We go deep on gentle, food-based solutions for the real problems parents face. And the next one is already in the works. And if you're still curious, stick around.